The episode begins. Gong is passed over for the chairman position because her stepmother flatly refuses to support her. Cut to Gong in her office, where she flashes back to the day her father first brought her home. Back then, her stepmother was pregnant. When Gal was born, the chairman was overjoyed. However, a young Gong had marched in, demanding that Gal be thrown out. She had screamed, "You are doing exactly what you wanted. My mother has only been dead for a year. Do you think you can just take over this house? I won't let that happen." This had caused the chairman to roar at her in anger. Back in the present, Gong faces her stepmother and sneers. 30 years later, you finally got exactly what you wanted. She demands, "What is your price? If you want more money, just say it and take your daughter and leave." The chairman's wife stands up, walks over to her, and delivers a resounding slap across Gong's face. She declares, "If I had raised you as my own flesh and blood, you wouldn't be speaking like this today. From this moment on, I am going to discipline you exactly like my own daughter, and things will change around this house." Seething with rage, Gong stands up. Just then, Gal enters the room and gently guides her mother out. With tears streaming down her face, Gong vows to herself, "I will make your daughter pay for every single bit of this." Outside, her mother stumbles from exhaustion. Gal embraces her, comforting her, "You don't have to carry this burden alone anymore. I am right here with you." Meanwhile, Mr. Kim discovers the truth that the chairman is not actually his younger son. Furious at being played, Mr. Kim grabs him by the collar, shouting, "You made a complete fool out of me." Just then, Gal walks into the room, breaking up the fight. They relocate to their brand new corporate headquarters. Mr. Kim immediately shifts his loyalty, abandoning the chairman to brown-nosed Gal, eagerly addressing her as ma'am and asking, "What should be our very first executive mission?" At the same time, Sang's wife, Rina, puts on a dramatic, emotional display for her husband, whimpering, "Gong threatened my life. I only voted for her and took her side at the board meeting out of absolute terror." Sang embraces her to comfort her. Rina steps outside, calls her father, and reports triumphantly, "I have my husband completely under my control." Unbeknownst to Sang, he's standing around the corner, quietly listening to her entire call. A flashback reveals how a young Sang had first introduced Rina to his father. The chairman had asked Rina about her ambitions, and she had meekly replied, "I will do whatever you see fit, father." Once she stepped away, the chairman had warned his son, "Never place your trust in that girl. She's a snake who will betray you the first chance she gets." Back then, Sang had stubbornly defended her, insisting his father was wrong. The scene shifts to Gong visiting her father's unconscious body at the hospital. Her husband enters, visibly shaken to see her there. He nervously asks, "What happened at the board meeting? Did you secure the chairman's seat?" Gong groans, "That old hag ruined everything." She looks at her husband suspiciously and demands, "Why were you asking me so many strange questions the other day?" Terrified of getting caught, the husband stammers, I only wanted to make sure I was supporting you properly." He quickly reassures her that he's keeping the chairman heavily sedated in a permanent coma. Believing his lie, Gong emotionally blackmails him to ensure his compliance. The moment she walks out, the husband sighs of relief, muttering, "I'm going to revert everything back to the way it was." Back at the office, Gal, the chairman, and Mr. Kim are hiding in a cubicle as the regular Team 2 employees walk in. The staff begins bad-mouthing the three, complaining, "They used to act so high and mighty, and now look at them. They've jumped straight into high-level executive positions." The moment the employees leave, the three step out. Gal pulls up a newly published scandal article featuring photos of her at a party with foreigners. The headlines paint her as a reckless party girl. As the office gossips, Gal explains to Mr. Kim, "That was just a graduation celebration party at my college. The photos are completely harmless." Mr. Kim urges, "Then we should release an official statement and tell everyone the truth." Gal declines, sighing, "Let them think whatever they want. I was exiled and pushed away by this family when I was a child anyway, so public rumors don't faze me anymore." A painful flashback shows a young Gal at an American boarding school crying over the phone to her mother about how severely she's she's being bullied by the other children. However, the chairman had snatched the phone away from her, demanded to know why she was crying so weakly, and abruptly hung up on her. Left alone, the group of kids had swarmed her to bully her. In the present, Mr. Kim bursts into tears upon hearing her tragic childhood. Gal smiles and comforts him. "Don't cry. Eventually, I just stopped talking to them and they stopped targeting me." Hearing this, the chairman thinks to himself, "Do you really think they stopped bullying you just because you stayed quiet?" Another flashback reveals the truth. Chairman and Sang-jae had personally traveled to the American school, ruthlessly reprimanded the bullies. The chairman had watched his young daughter from afar, but chosen not to approach her, wanting her to grow resilient. Back in the corridor, Rina and several members of the Choisang trading division approach Gal to mock her. Rina snidely remarks, "Oh, look at our glamorous executive. Did you enjoy your little party vacation abroad?" As they turn to leave, the chairman fires back with a brilliant insult, thoroughly humiliating Rina in front of her subordinates. Stung, Rina stops and sneers at the chairman and Gal. "You two went on that business trip together, didn't you? Tell me, how was your romantic little vacation?" She sashays away, leaving a furious Mr. Kim fuming. That woman is spreading disgusting corporate rumors. Just then, the chairman receives an urgent call from Mr. Kim of GF Solutions. He panics. "The global price of lithium is crashing, our stocks are plummeting, and our entire international supply chain has been severed. No global supplier is willing to sell us lithium anymore." Gal panics, realizing that GF Solutions is on the verge of total collapse. An executive informs Gong that a massive rival conglomerate, Taha Group, has officially secured the exclusive lithium mining rights in Uvilia. Back in his private office, the chairman tells Sang-jae, "I didn't leave my duplicate signature and notes behind by accident. I left them intentionally so you could find me." Just as they are talking, Gal walks in, forcing the chairman to quickly swap seats and act like a clueless intern. Meanwhile, Gong and Director Han discover that a mysterious entity named Smiley Investments is behind the lithium disruption. They immediately order a full investigation to unmask the owner. Concurrently, Rina meets with Director Han, her father. She hands him the exclusive distribution deeds to the crucial Hung City port, smirking, "Gong signed these over to my father right before the board meeting to buy our compliance." Just then, her husband Sang calls, demanding a joint meeting with her father. Rina lies over the line, saying her father is far too busy to see him. As she hangs up and steps outside, she finds Sang staring at her from across the lot, realization dawning on him that her wife has completely betrayed him. That evening, at the family mansion, the relatives sit down for dinner only to find the entire luxurious menu replaced with plain, basic food. Gong's stepmother walks into the dining room and commands, "From this moment on, every single meal in this house will be prepared according to my explicit orders. Anyone who doesn't like it is free to pack their bags and get out." Gong's furious family storms away from the table. Rina attempts to leave as well, but the stepmother blocks her path and delivers a chilling warning. "Don't you dare think about betraying Sang." Later that night, a suspicious Sang finds his wife's phone left on the counter. He tries to access it, but doesn't know the passcode. Rina snatches the phone from his hand. Sang pulls her close, playing the emotional card, and whispers, "Don't get manipulated by your father's schemes. You know you're the only one I have in this world. We are a family." Meanwhile, the chairman, Gal, and Sang-jae meet at a private restaurant for dinner. Gal presents a beautifully wrapped box to the chairman, explaining, "This is a gift to thank you. Because of the world-class medical specialists you arranged, my father's condition has completely stabilized." The chairman initially grumbles, noting that the designer tie she bought is far too expensive, but inwardly, his heart melts at his daughter's genuine gratitude. Suddenly, his paid nurse calls with a crisis. "Your grandmother has escaped from the hospital ward. She found out about June's career-ending soccer injury and ran out in a panic." The chairman and Gal sprint out and drive straight to June's old apartment. Inside, they find his grandmother cooking a warm, homemade meal. Tears streaming down her face, she clutches the chairman's legs, crying,
"Is your leg okay? I had no idea you suffered such a horrible accident. You'll never be able to play soccer again." The chairman stands there, finally understanding the profound, agonizing grief June had carried. His grandmother forces him to sit and feeds him, and the chairman finds the simple meal tasting sweeter than any luxury cuisine. Outside the door, Gal listens to the emotional exchange, whispering to herself, "June acts so tough and ruthless at the office, but he carries so much hidden pain." The next morning, Gong is practicing boxing when her assistant rushes in with a shocking revelation. The ultimate mastermind behind Smiley Investments is none other than the intern, June. Furious, Gong demands a direct meeting with him. The chairman coordinates the meeting place. When Gong arrives at the corporate suite, an assistant informs her,
"The absolute CEO of Smiley Investments is waiting for you inside." Gong throws the doors open and is left utterly paralyzed with shock to find Gall sitting in the CEO's chair. Gall looks at her stunned sister and asks coolly, "What's the matter, sister? Did you really think I would remain a helpless little girl forever?" The chairman steps into the room. A cornered Gong begins screaming insults at them. The chairman shuts her down, declaring with chilling authority, "You are barking entirely too loud right now. Do you really want us to expose your massive financial crimes and corruption to the public?" He lays down an ultimatum. "We own the exclusive Uwillian mining supply. Do you want to buy our lithium or watch your company burn?" Desperate to save her firm, a cornered Gong tries to pull the chairman aside privately. She tries to bribe him, whispering, "Team up with me instead. I am destined to become the chairman eventually." The chairman scoffs and rejects her outright, stating, "I will never stand by your side. Furthermore, I know for a fact that you and Seong were the ones who committed that hit and run, not your father." Gong smirks maliciously, countering, "And how do you plan on proving that to the world? You already testified on live television that my father was the culprit." The chairman steps closer, a dangerous smile on his face, and whispers, "Don't worry. The truth will walk right up to you very soon." Gong storms back to the headquarters, only to find the board directors looking at her with deep disappointment. A high-level board meeting is called, and the directors aggressively grill her over GF Solutions' total insolvency, demanding that the division be shut down immediately. Gong desperately scrambles for excuses, promising she will locate an alternative lithium supply. However, not a single director buys her words. Right at her breaking point, Song Jae addresses the room. "Our strategic elite planning team has successfully mapped out and secured an exclusive international lithium supply chain." He formally calls Gall into the boardroom. Gall stands confidently before the elite shareholders and announces, "I have personally secured an exclusive contract with the Uwillian administration. If Director Gong wishes to save her division, she may purchase the lithium directly from us." Sitting before the entire board, a humiliated Gong is trapped and unable to decline. The directors erupt into thunderous applause, thoroughly impressed by Gall's magnificent corporate maneuver. After the meeting, a victorious Gall briefs her team. "Gong has officially agreed to pay us 400 billion won in pure cash and transfer a 4% equity stake in Choisong Trading just to secure our lithium supply." The chairman overflows with joy and wraps his daughter in a tight, proud embrace before they celebrate over a grand dinner. Meanwhile, director Han discovers the ultimate truth. Gall is the shadow CEO of Smiley Investments. Back at the executive suite, a desperate Gong realizes her grip on the crown is slipping. Feeling cornered, she drops to her knees in despair. Just then, her phone rings. Gong rushes to the designated meeting spot only to find her father-in-law, Jae Song, waiting for her instead. Jae Song pitches a dark alliance, saying, "You secured the port deals for us, so I won't abandon you. Appoint my daughter, Rina, as the president of Choisong Trading, and I will use my entire empire to back you and crush your siblings." Unbeknownst to Bem, Seong is hiding in the adjoining room, secretly recording their entire treacherous conversation on his phone. Gong smirks and replies, "Why stop there? Help me completely eliminate my father from the equation as well." Overhearing his sister plot their father's murder,
murder, Se-young gasps, realizing his family has completely turned into monsters. Gong exits the building and gets into her luxury car. As the car speeds out onto the highway, she looks over at the driver and is horrified to find Se-young behind the wheel. Se-young has completely snapped, his eyes wild with psychotic rage. He roars at his sister, "You greedy bastards always team up to destroy me. I will ruin all of you." Gong screams in terror, begging him to stop the car. Se-young screams back, "I am going to expose everything. I'll tell the police that we were the ones who committed that hit and run, not father." He slams his foot onto the accelerator, driving at a breakneck speed. As Gong frantically struggles to grab the wheel, the car loses control, swerves violently off the asphalt, and crashes headfirst into a massive concrete pillar in a horrific, crushing impact. News of the catastrophic accident spreads like wildfire, reaching the chairman and the media. The scene cuts to a heavily bandaged Se-young at the police station. To his absolute horror, the detectives inform him that has slapped him with multiple severe criminal charges, framing him entirely for the kidnapping and attempted murder of his sister Gong. Just then, Gong walks into the interrogation room, wearing a fake arm sling and putting on a flawless act of a traumatized victim. She glares at her brother and whispers coldly, "Did you really think an idiot like you could ever defeat me?" A chilling flashback reveals that this entire sequence was a calculated trap orchestrated by Gong from the very beginning. She had intentionally leaked her meeting with Jae-sung, knowing Se-young would trail her. She had purposely left her car unlocked, baiting him to hijack it, all to frame him for attempted murder and lock him away for life. A broken, defeated Se-young is dragged out of the station by officers, swarmed by ruthless reporters flashing cameras. He lashes out in a fit of absolute despair, dropping to his knees on the concrete. Right at that exact moment, the chairman strides through the crowd. He stands before his broken son, looking down at him with an expression of profound, agonizing heartbreak. Se-young looks up at the intern, tears streaming down his face, and cries out, "Father, please forgive me. I was never fit to be your son." The chairman turns his gaze towards his eldest daughter, Gong, who stands on the steps watching the spectacle with a cold, triumphant, arrogant smirk. Looking at her cold-blooded victory, the chairman's brain begins to short-circuit. A sharp, explosive pain rips through his skull, and he stumbles backward. The scene rapidly shifts to the hospital ICU. Inside the secure room, the original comatose body of Chairman Young-ho, the episode opens by revealing exactly how Gong frames her brother. She meets with the audit team leader to look into the ongoing investigation against them. She demands, "Hand over every single piece of data you have against my brother." She successfully acquires the entire illicit paper trail of his blood trading division. Before leaving, she commands him, "Wipe clean all the original files regarding the chemicals department. Make sure everything is spotless." Meanwhile, Se-young is desperately trying to prove his innocence to the detectives, but they completely ignore his pleas. He grows furious upon learning that his wife will also be interrogated, shouting, "Why are you dragging my innocent family into this?" Back in the present, the chairman confronts Gong, demanding, "How could you commit such a horrific crime against your own flesh and blood?" Gong retorts coldly, "All of this is happening solely because of you." Suddenly, a sharp, explosive pain rips through the chairman's skull. He quickly checks his smartband's vital monitor and discovers that his heart rate has dangerously spiked, which is triggering these severe headaches. Just then, Song-jae calls him. The chairman rushes outside the building just in time to see the police arresting Se-young's wife and loading her into a squad car. Later, the chairman briefs Song-jae, telling him, "I feel like I will be returning to my original body very soon." Song-jae drops a warning, stating, "I suspect the audit team leader has turned traitor and aligned with Gong." Cruel ultimatums and corrupt framing. At the hospital, Gong's husband informs the chairman's wife that the chairman's vitals are steadily improving and he might regain consciousness very soon. Just then, a nurse interrupts him to summon him. Stepping outside, he finds a swarm of media reporters aggressively questioning Gong. The moment she spots her husband, Gong grabs him and puts on a flawless, tearful act of a victim, publicly apologizing apologizing for her company's legal scandals. Her husband stands there frozen, completely dumbfounded by her deception. The moment they step behind hospital doors, Gong casually drops her fake arm sling and releases his hand. Her arm was never broken. It was all a calculated performance. Her husband whispers in shock, "You've gone way too far this time." Gong glares at him and counters, "I will do whatever it takes to secure this company. And mark my words, if you ever stand in my way, I won't spare you either." She adds coldly, "Pack your bags and take our son out of the country immediately. Go manage father's treatment abroad. I will be flying in a brand new medical team to take over here." Unbeknownst to them, the chairman's wife is hiding around the corner, overhearing her entire chilling plot. Shortly after, Rena's father calls Gong, roaring in a fit of rage, "Why are you dragging my daughter into your twisted corporate warfare?" Gong replies with absolute arrogance, "You shouldn't have tried to greedily shove your nose into our conglomerate's trading division in the first place." She abruptly hangs up. The moment Gong leaves, the chairman's wife approaches her doctor son-in-law and commands with absolute urgency, "We must wake the chairman up this second." Meanwhile, Song-jae corners the audit team leader, furiously demanding answers. The trembling leader confesses,
Gong ruthlessly blackmailed me. I had no choice but to hand her the files. Song-jae commands, "Hand over the original chemicals department data to me." The leader replies, "I can't. You need the chairman's original executive key code to access the encrypted server." Song-jae immediately calls the chairman, who provides him with the secret backup code. Song-jae and the team leader arrive at the secured data vault to retrieve the backup. However, it is revealed to be a total setup. The team leader was working as a mole for Gong all along. Gong steps out of the shadows with a squad of security guards, framing Song-jae by claiming he was illegally blackmailing the auditor. The compliance team drags Song-jae away, and a triumphant Gong burns the remaining evidence incriminating her. The next day at the high-level board meeting, Gong gloats about her absolute control. Having systematically cleared her hurdles, she announces the resumption of all previously suspended corporate projects. With no ground left to oppose her, the shareholders stay silent. Gong boldly declares, "From this moment on, I am officially the acting chairman, and all executive decisions will be made solely by me." She immediately orders a mass layoff, targeting 20% of the trading division's workforce, instructing them to start the terminations with Director Choi. Gal stands up to oppose her, demanding, "What will happen to our massive hydrogen trading project if you gut the department?" However, Gong has already consolidated her power and blocked all alternative routing. Gong steps up to the chairman in Jun's body and delivers a chilling whisper, "If you refuse to execute these layoffs for me, I will strip you of your position and throw you out of this company permanently." To stay inside the corporate circle and fight back, a reluctant chairman is forced to bow his head and agree. Gal begs him to stand down, but the chairman signs the directive. Meanwhile, Song-jae is locked inside a secure holding room, informed that he will remain detained until the internal investigation concludes. He glares through the glass at Gong, shouting, "When your father finds out what a monster you've become, he will realize how wretchedly failed his upbringing was." Stepping out into the corridor, Gong receives a desperate call from Rena's father, who begs, "What is your price? I want my daughter released from custody immediately." Gong sneers, "First, bow your head and apologize to me. Then, legally transfer every single block of your hidden shares in Choi Song under my name. Do this, and I might consider it." A humiliated, furious Director Han smashes his phone against the wall in a fit of absolute rage. Back at the department, the employees are fleeing from the elite planning team, aggressively berating the chairman and Mr. Kim for turning into corporate executioners. Mr. Kim groans to the chairman, "We are being forced to fire the very people we built this division with. Do you have any idea how much hatred is being thrown at us?" The chairman replies with absolute gravity,
We had no choice. If we were thrown out of the company today, we would have lost our leverage to save it. The chairman is forced to begin executing the HR terminations. Watching the devastating layoffs unfold, a heartbroken gal marches into Gong's executive suite, demanding, "Why are you doing this to our loyal employees?" Gong smirks and lays down a cold deal. If you want to protect your precious workers, transfer your 30% shadow equity stake in GF Solutions entirely under my name. Gal immediately confronts the chairman, tears welling in her eyes. How long are you going to keep firing these people? They have sacrificed years of their lives for this firm. We can't just discard them like trash. She suggests, what if I just surrender my 30% stake to her to stop the layoffs? The chairman flatly objects, stating, absolutely not. In the near future, those specific shares will skyrocket in value, and every single block will be worth an absolute fortune. Furious and deeply disappointed, Gal snaps at him. You are no different from my power-hungry sister. You only care about money and corporate greed. Do whatever you want. That night, a miserable gal sits at a bar with Mr. Kim, drowning her sorrows. She laments, how could he turn out to be so cold-blooded? Mr. Kim tries to comfort her, gently reassuring her, trust him, he is doing everything in his power to protect you. Meanwhile, Song's wife, Rina, storms into her father's residence to seek help, only to freeze in horror. Gong is already sitting in the living room. Rina snaps, what is this viper doing in our house? Her father sighs, she is here to negotiate a major corporate deal. Sit down and join us. Once the contract is finalized, Gong leaves. From a safe distance outside, Gal quietly monitors the shady meeting through her binoculars. The next morning, Gal and Mr. Kim approach the chairman at his desk. Mr. Kim acts as a mediator, trying to repair their fractured partnership. Just then, his grandmother's warm voice calls out from the upper level. The three heads into the apartment kitchen, where Gal surprises his grandmother by gifting her a premium health-tracking smartwatch. The grateful grandmother clutches Mr. Kim's hand and whispers a profound piece of advice to the trio. To survive in this world, you must keep your eyes wide open and watch every direction. The scene shifts to the chairman's wife visiting her disgraced son, Song, bringing him a homemade meal. She comforts him, advising, you must clear your mind of rage. To defeat your sister, you must stop reacting blindly and start thinking strategically. Song quiets down, takes a bite of the food, and begins plotting his moves. Back at the planning room, the chairman and his allies uncover a massive corporate red flag. Reviewing the internal transfer data, they discover that Gong is systematically targeting and laying off the entire core engineering team of the highly advanced hydrogen energy division. A terminated lead scientist lashes out at the chairman in a fit of absolute frustration, roaring, "You're not even paying us our full severance packages, vultures!" The chairman instantly pieces the puzzle together. Gong is intentionally sabotaging the firm. He deploys his informants to track the corporate assets. Shortly after, they uncover a terrifying reality. Gong is secretly selling off Choi Song's entire crown jewel hydrogen division to the rival Taha Group, essentially selling out her own employees to line her pockets. The chairman and Gal sprint through the corporate corridors to stop the transaction, but they arrive too late. The legally binding acquisition deeds have already been signed and sealed. The chairman confronts his daughter in a fit of rage, demanding, how could you sell out our core hydrogen technology to the rivals? Gong laughs in his face, venting her lifelong resentment. Our father never loved me. No matter what I achieved, he handed everything to his precious eldest son on a silver platter. I am simply taking what is mine. Looking at her broken daughter, a deeply guilt-filled chairman whispers, all of this is my fault. I failed to see your pain and protect you. Late that night, the chairman sits alone in his dark office, staring at the blank check June had left behind. He remembers June's raw ambition and his promise that Choi Song Group would not perish. The chairman hits his desk in a fit of absolute self-reproach, weeping, "This is all my fault. I destroyed my own family." Just then, his phone buzzes. It's a critical text from Gal. "I have located the secret facility where Song-jae is being held." The chairman and Gal launch a covert rescue, successfully breaking Song-jae out of his unlawful confinement. Seeing his loyal secretary safe, the chairman overflows with relief. Song-jae asks, "What is our next move?" Gal sighs in despair. "What can we even do now? She has already sold off our core tech." The chairman looks up, his eyes filled with absolute dark resolve, and declares, "Gong is only an acting chairman. She hasn't officially taken the crown yet. If she takes the throne, our company is doomed. We will leak the entire multi-billion won corporate slush fund data to the prosecution, but we will legally register the entire fraud under my name, Chairman Young-ho. By taking the fall, we will completely clear Song's name, restore his trading shares, and trigger a massive corporate restructuring that will permanently disqualify Gong from ever becoming chairman." Song-jae gasps in horror, pleading, "Sir, how can you frame your own name and destroy your legacy?" The chairman replies firmly, "I have no other choice left to save my life's work," steps forward and delivers a resounding slap across the chairman's face. Tears streaming down her face, she screams, "Why do you always target and frame my father? I hate you." The chairman looks at his youngest daughter with absolute warmth and sorrow, replying softly,
"I have no other choice. You can hate me as much as you want." Yu-all returns to the mansion and reveals the drastic corporate strategy to her mother. To her absolute surprise, her mother agrees, wiping her tears and saying, "If your father were awake right now, he would have done the exact same thing. He would gladly sacrifice his own name and legacy to protect Choi Song Group from tearing itself apart." Suddenly, Gong barges into the room screaming, "Did you two illegally break Song-jae out of my facility?" The day of the final succession board meeting arrives. Gong stands at the podium, confidently delivering a speech about her impending coronation. To reward her accomplice, she formally appoints Rina as the executive president of the trading division. Suddenly, the boardroom doors crash open, and marching into the room with absolute power is Song. Song announces before the stunned board of directors, "All criminal charges against me have been officially dropped. The federal prosecution has confirmed that the entire slush fund operation was executed solely under Chairman Young-ho's executive decree." Song-jae steps up to the microphone, delivering the final blow. As the verified owner of the slush funds is Chairman Young-ho, all proxy shares previously claimed by acting Chairman Gong are officially frozen pending federal investigation. Gong's dream of becoming chairman is completely shattered in a split second. She stands at the podium, her eyes wide with absolute paralyzed horror as her empire crumbles. The scene jumps to a private celebratory dinner where the chairman's allies are rejoicing over their victory. Meanwhile, a psychotic, unhinged Gong is seen slipping into the hospital ward late at night, preparing to murder her comatose father once and for all. Concurrently, over at June's old apartment, his grandmother's health severely destabilizes. Heavy hallucinations grip her mind as she frantically stumbles out of the apartment to find her grandson. Suddenly, a red flashing ICU code blue alert activates on the chairman's phone. Grabbing her arm violently, he roars at her, "What have you done? How could you attempt to murder your own father with your bare hands?" Just then, a breaking news alert flashes on the hospital TV screen, publishing the devastating official medical bulletin. Chairman Young-ho has officially passed away in his hospital bed. And on that
absolute, mind-bending, catastrophic cliffhanger, this spectacular drama comes to an end. If you loved this intense, high-stakes corporate thriller explanation, make sure to smash that like button, drop your final thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, lights, camera, goodbye.